not exact, but which is fable, which is fact? Paul Bunyan and his blue ox pet needed all the space they could get. First of the infant lumberjacks, he felled a forest in his tracks. Scoff if you must, but if you should, don't scoff in the great North Wood. There are a great many stories that start out once upon a time, but this is not going to be one of them, because this story happened just as I'm going to tell it to you. My name is Amy Simplemind, and I was a good and helpful friend to the parents of Paul Bunyan, who just happened to be the biggest and strongest man in these parts. I lived right next door to them, and this is how it all started.
Amy, did you hear?
What's wrong? The way you came running over here, I'm thinking that something terrible has happened.
Oh, nothing's wrong, but Ma and me is expecting.
That's real nice. What are you expecting?
A baby.
Ma is really expecting? Well, that is the best news we have received around these here parts in a month of Sundays. When is the blessed event going to happen?
Well, I don't know. Ma says at any time.
At any time? Well, what are we awaiting over here at my house? Let's go over to yours. You never know when the little old stork will drop that little bundle from heaven down your chimney.
Well, come on, Amy. Let's get.
We went over to the Bunyans' cottage, and there was the missus fixing dinner. Pa told me that you both were expecting the stork.
Well, he's due at any time. Come on in. I whipped up some dinner for us, so that we'll have something to do while we wait. You know, this is going to be our very first baby.
A little bundle from heaven. What are you going to call the baby?
Well, if it's a girl, we're going to name it after my ma, Gertrude.
That's a right pretty name.
But if it's a little baby boy, we're going to call it Paul after my pa.
Paul? That's right nice, too.
Well, dinner's all ready. Let's sit down to eat. Pa, you say grace.
We thank you for what we are about to eat, and thank you for sending us a little package from heaven.
Well, the three of us dove into the food. Mrs. Bunyan was a real good cook. We finished the supper so that there was not a speck of food left on the plates. Then she brewed up some coffee and cut us a piece of honeysuckleberry pie.
Ma, you're the best cook around these parts.
I'm getting worried.
About what?
The stork. He was supposed to drop the baby off at least a half hour ago.
Oh, maybe there's bad weather up there in the clouds where he's a-flying. Oh, it's just taking him a little longer.
It's nothing for you to worry about. Your baby'll be here real soon. Well, time moved, and soon it was near 8 o'clock. Suddenly, there came a knock at the door.
Who do you think it's the stork?
My baby has arrived. I'm so excited.
Well, who is going to open the door?
Me!
You are just standing there. I'll open the door. Hello?
Pa, it is the stork. Well, stork, where's the baby?
Well, we're a little late getting here.
We know that. Is there anything wrong?
No, but it is taking a little longer to fly here with this child than with any other we have ever brought.
What's wrong?
Why are you so late?
Well, normally it only takes one stork to bring a little bundle of joy to someone's house. But it is taking more than one stork to come here.
More than one stork? Ma and Pa? You are having 2 babies.
We're having twins?
Well, it's not taking 2 storks. You see, there is more than 2 coming.
More than 2 storks?
We are going to have 3 babies, 3 bundles of joy.
Nope, it is not going to be 3 storks.
Not 3?
Not 3?
Not 3. I think I'm going to faint.
Don't faint, Ma. Let's ask this bird how many we can expect.
Oh, that's using your head, Amy. You go on and ask it.
Mr. Stork, how many of you birds are coming here today?
Well, there are, 5 of us heading here.
5?
5 bundles of joy,
I'm going to faint.
You are going to be famous. 5 at one time. I'll come over and help you.
Just think of all those diapers.
All that food to cook.
All that crying.
Friends, I don't think you understand what I am saying.
Oh, we do. There's going to be 5 storks bringing 5 little babies.
That is what you mean, don't you?
That is what you said.
Well, I did say 5 storks, but I said nothing about 5 babies.
If it was not 5 babies, then why would you need 5 storks?
Well, the baby is not little.
Not little?
It is very big.
What are you dropping here, a baby elephant?
Nope, it's not an elephant.
I think it could be a hippopotamus. Those critters are big.
Nope, you are not getting a hippo, even though it is as big as one.
Are you certain that we are getting a baby?
Oh, you are getting one, but it's a big one. Why, look up there in the southeast. You just might be able to see it coming.
We all looked up to the southeast, but we could not see anything. There were lots of clouds in the east, and the moon was not yet shining in the sky. Little did we know that the 5 storks were up there carrying a big bundle of joy.
Oh, we've got to rest.
Stop over there on that little pink cloud.
That cloud is too little. Do you think we can flap our wings over to that one and rest there?
Oh, I'm tired, but I think I can make it.
On the count of 5, start flapping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I don't think I can make it.
You had better. We don't want to drop this baby on the wrong family.
Have you ever seen such a big baby?
I'm glad that this is special. I would hate to have to deliver big ones like this one every day.
Oh, do you have any idea how much it weighs?
Well, I'll look it up. Oh, my, it says that this is an 80-pound baby.
This is bigger than some elephants that my cousin has had to take into the jungle.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
Are we all rested up? The faster we get to the Bunyan house, the faster we can go on and rest our wings.
We are doing our best.
There is going to be one surprised family when they find this on their front doorstep.
All right, storks. Get ready to flap.
Oh.
1, 2, 3. Take off.
I'm not going to make
Oh,
it.
keep trying. Keep saying, I will get there. I will get there. You know, we've never failed to deliver a baby yet.
Look, over there. I think I see them. And whatever are they carrying? It is as big as a house.
I'm so excited.
Well, I think I have to fly off since I see that they are nearly here. We are so behind schedule, I have to tell other people that we are running late.
Let's all go in and wait for the little knock on the door.
Oh, Ma, we're going to have a baby any minute now.
I'll close the door. Anyone want some coffee while we're waiting?
I'm too nervous. I can't wait to see my baby.
Then there was a loud thump on the front doorstep.
I think it's here.
Then there came a knocking at the door.
I'll open the door.
We all will. This is a great moment. We opened the door and looked out. There we saw 5 of the cutest but very tired-looking storks.
Is this the Bunyan home?
It sure is.
Where's my baby?
There it is, all wrapped up in those 50 baby blankets.
It was so big that it looked like a heap of cloth had alighted on the front steps.
Sign here, we have to go home. It was a long flight.
I never went to school. I don't know how to write my name.
Then just make an X there.
Like that?
That's right. Now this big bundle of joy is yours. Have fun.
We all bid the storks goodbye and watched as the very tired birds flapped their wings and flew away.
Well, there it is. Our very own.
I'm a mother. Don't you think we ought to get the baby into the house? The night air might give the child a cold.
Oh, I'll go and pick him up. Oh, I can't pick him up. He's too heavy.
Well, Amy, will you help?
Sure I will. All three of us will be able to do it.
I think we've done it.
Don't you dare drop him.
We all dragged and pulled the baby into the house. Let's look at him.
He's so handsome.
He's so cute.
He's so big.
Look, he's opening his big eyes.
Hi, Paul. We're your Ma and Pa.
I'm your Aunt Amy. Look how he smiles. Such a big smile.
Well, now, we're going to need a cradle for him.
You'd better make him one.
So, in the morning, Paul got out bright and early and called some of his men together.
Now, first we're going to have to make a cradle for my baby. Well, it won't take long to build a little cradle for a new baby. Well, my baby is different. He's big. We will have to cut down 5 great oak trees.
And that'll be a big cradle.
Well, my baby is a big baby.
Well, the cradle was finally finished, and the baby looked so cute in it. But we started to have some problems when Big Paul was 3 weeks old.
Look how the child is growing, and it keeps falling out of the cradle.
I don't know what to do with him, Mrs. Bunyan. Look, he's making the cradle rock back and forth. He just fell out again and, oh no! He is so powerful that he just rolled out of the house, taking the wall with him.
Stop my baby! He's rolling down the hill.
I don't believe it. He's rolling down the hill so fast that he is cutting the trees down and he's rolling over them.
I hope the baby won't get hurt.
I don't think the baby is hurt, but look at all those trees that got knocked down.
Ma, what's wrong? Was that Paul I saw rolling down the hill?
He fell out of the cradle and went right through the wall of the house. And, oh my, he must be 4 miles down the hill by now and still rolling.
Well, I sure know what he's going to be when he grows up.
What is that, Mr. Bunyan?
A lumberjack. Look at all those fallen trees.
Look, he's sitting up down there and waving to us.
Oh, he's so cute.
That's my boy.
Well, the folks weren't too happy with what Paul had done. So the next day, a man from the government came by and spoke to Mr. Bunyan.
You're going to have to move from here. That big baby of yours needs more room. He can't go around and make the trees fall like he does every time he falls out of the cradle.
Well, where do you think we should go?
I don't know, but you'd better leave, and the sooner the better.
I know that none of you will believe what happened next. But the King of England sent a very important-looking man to the Bunyan house before we left the area.
The King of England has received word that you chopped down some of his trees to make a cradle for the big baby.
Well, we took the strongest and best trees we could find.
Well, you happen to have chopped down the king's forest.
Well, we're right sorry.
So we are taking the cradle.
It's our baby's cradle.
It is made from the king's trees, and we are going to make 5 great warships for the king's navy out of it.
Mr. Bunyan pleaded, but it did not help. The cradle was dismantled and sent to England for the king. Poor Big Paul cried and cried. He jumped up and down, and his feet made a deep hole, and he cried so much that his tears filled up the hole with water. And Paul Bunyan formed the Great Lakes. And that is the truth. Well, after Paul had stopped crying, Paul Bunyan came over to my house that now stood on the banks of a beautiful, newly made saltwater lake, and said,
We're moving, Amy. Since you are our best friend, will you come with us? We need a little help with Paul.
I will be happy to go. I can't wait to see the kind of boy Paul grows into. Well, we packed our belongings, and Paul made a special cart for Paul out of a big wagon, and we started to move. The roads were very narrow, and we had to tie Paul's arms inside the wagon so he would not knock down any trees on the way. When he was hungry, he gave out a cry that was a cross between a buzzsaw and a drum. When we got to the new place for us to live, all the folks thought that Paul was very unusual, and they liked having him around. He was growing so fast that the women had to weave new cloth for him every day.
I finished the shirt.
You were too slow. He's already grown too big for it.
I made some shoes.
Well, they might have fit him yesterday, but he's doubled in size today.
The women worked so hard that some of the spindles that they had worked with got so hot from spinning that they burned us. It was a problem getting buttons. They were too little and not good for the big baby's shirts. So, Paul Bunyan got a good idea.
We'll use the wheels from a wheelbarrow and cover them over with material. Oh, they'll make good buttons.
Oh, you're so smart, Paul.
We walked over to the place where Big Paul was sitting, and we looked up at him. He looked at his mother and spoke his first word.
Mama!
Did you hear that? He talked!
His voice was so loud and was so powerful that it all but threw us across the yard.
Ma, you're going to have to teach the child to speak a little softer.
And Ma did, and soon he was talking very quietly.
Mama! Mama!
He learned 2 words very fast.
Mama! Hungry! Hungry! Mama!
Well, soon Paul was getting old enough to go to school.
I think Paul is ready to start to learn things.
We never had a chance to go to school, but we want the best for our big boy.
It was so exciting that first day of school. We got Paul dressed and ready to go.
I will like school.
You are going to be the smartest boy in school.
Of course he will. He's my son.
Sure I will.
Well, on his way to school, Paul stopped and said,
I don't feel good. I think I am sick.
Oh, you're just excited about going to school.
I don't feel good.
Look at the boy. I think he has the mumps.
Well, Paul never did anything in a small way. He did have the mumps, and he had them so bad that it took 11 years for him to get better.
I feel good now. Can I go to school?
He's so much older than the other children.
Well, what should we do?
Let's ask the teachers.
So my friends went with their son to the school.
Well, since he is so big and so much older, I think we could start him in the 8th grade.
I get to go to 8th grade. Gee!
So Paul started school.
Good morning, class.
Good morning, teacher!
Well, Paul spoke so loudly that the power of his voice threw everyone across the schoolroom. Every time Paul had to write his name, he would use the entire pencil.
I don't know what to do, Mrs. Bunyan. Your son writes so big that he can only get 1 letter on each page.
Well, show him how to write smaller.
Well, Paul never really did like going to school, so he stopped going.
I am smart enough. I do not have to go to school.
One day, Paul walked into the forest and looked at all the lumberjacks cutting down the trees.
That looks like fun.
Would you like to try it, son?
Sure would.
And with one mighty chop, down went the tree.
I think being a lumberjack is right for me.
And Paul became one of the biggest and strongest lumberjacks.
I knew you would become a lumberjack. I knew it ever since you was a baby.
How did you know?
I just knew it, son.
Hey, look, I'm growing a beard, just like the others.
My son is growing a beard. Oh, You're not a baby anymore. You're a big boy.
Paul grew a long beard and was very proud of it. And for a comb, he would pull out a pine tree by its roots and use it for a comb and brush.
Gee, everybody looks up to me. They have to, 'cause I'm bigger than other people.
As they looked up at Paul, there was one thing that all the folks admired about him, and that was his axe. So let me tell you a little about it. Paul would sit with us at night outside our house. You see, he had to sit outside because he was too big to sit inside.
If I'm going to be a famous lumberjack, Pa, I'll need some tools. I cannot use your tools because I am too big.
Well, why don't you make some of your own?
Oh, that's a good idea, Pa. That's just what I'll do.
Well, now, what are you gonna make them from?
I saw a big ironwood tree growing in the forest that would make a perfect handle for my axe. Come on, Pa. Ma, we'll be back in a little while. Is that all right, Auntie Amy?
We women will sit here and talk a spell. You and Pa do what you have to do.
Yeah. Come on, Pa. Follow me. I know where there's a tree. I'll make an axe right now.
I'm right behind you, son. Hold on! You're walking too fast. Remember, one of your steps is like 50 of mine.
Oh, I forgot. Here, Pa. I'll pick you up and let you sit on my shoulder. Look, Pa. Over there is the ironwood tree.
Looks like it would be big enough for an axe handle for you.
I'll set you down here and I'll pull the tree out of the ground.
Be careful. I don't want you to hurt yourself.
I'm too big to get hurt. Now look, with just a little pull, I got it out of the ground.
You sure did.
I'll make this into an axe handle, even if I have to work all night.
And by morning, the ironwood tree was shaped into an axe handle that was 50 feet long. He fastened an iron plate to it, and he had the best axe in the world. No one was able to keep up with his chopping. Soon, everyone in the world knew about Paul Bunyan, the lumberjack. And that reminds me of the time when Paul got himself a pet. Now, most folks would have a dog or a cat for a pet, but not Paul. Paul had a great blue ox, and this is how he got him. It all happened in the middle of winter, the coldest one we had in a long time. It snowed so much, and it was so bright that when the snow was on the ground, it picked up the color of the sky, and it made the snow look as if it were blue. It was during the winter of the blue snow that Paul was in the forest chopping trees. It was there that he found an abandoned baby ox.
Oh, what are you doing out here in the cold? You're such a baby. I think I'll take care of you. And I think I'll call you Babe.
Babe grew very fast. In fact, in a matter of weeks, she was 11 feet high. And she was madly in love with Paul. She would go into the forest with Paul and watch him cut the tall trees. And when a tree had fallen, she would help Paul by dragging it to the stream that went to the log and sawmill.
You're my best friend.
Everywhere they went, people would look at the giant of a man and the great blue ox.
Babe, I made up a poem about you. Would you like to hear it? It's called Babe's Barn. The blue ox grew so fast that I did not know what to do. For every time I turned around, Babe grew a foot or two. One day I built the biggest barn in all the countryside. Babe rolled her eyes and licked my neck and proudly walked inside. When morning came, I found the barn perched way up on Babe's back. Babe went on growing all night long and had outgrown the shack.
There are so many stories about Paul and Babe, but once at the logging camp,
Paul, there's a terrible log jam.
Oh, I see it. You can't get the logs free.
No, Paul, they keep jamming up like that. It'll be real bad if we can't unjam them. What can we do?
I'm trying to think.
All day they worried and worried.
I can't think of a thing to do. Can you?
No, I can't either.
Well, Babe looked at the men. They looked so troubled. Everyone was standing at the water's edge watching as the logs jammed up nearly 3 stories high. Babe did not like to see Paul upset, so she trotted down to the log jam and looked at it.
Look at Babe. She has an idea.
What could that giant ox do?
She has thought of something. Old Babe is very smart.
Babe turned, and with a mighty swat of her tail, she hit the logs just as if they were flies. She hit them once more, and then again. Then there was a mighty roar as the logs began to move.
Look! Babe has unjammed the logs by swatting them with her tail.
They're all moving.
Oh, my ox is a hero.
She saved the logs. We have to give thanks to Babe.
Well, no one will ever forget the story of Babe and the log jam. Well, old Paul was famous worldwide, and people started writing poems and stories about him, like these poems here. I would like to have some of Paul's friends tell them to you right now.
One day, Paul Bunyan thought his ox was going to up and die, so he picked up a pick and spade, and a teardrop filled his eye. And sadly by the sea he dug a deep hole in the ground. And Babe got well, the sea surged in. The hole is Puget Sound.
One day, Paul Bunyan sat and thought about the world's woes. He was in New York at the time, and the tears ran down his nose. His tears fell down upon the ground and flooded through his toes, and that is why in New York State the Hudson River flows.
The blue ox quite unconsciously created quite a wind when she swished her tail contentedly and rolled her eyes and grinned. Some people think that cyclones are the remnants of that gale that sprang up when the great blue ox swished her curly tail.
Paul was the hero and the friend of all the lumberjacks. They came for miles to see him use his homemade two-edged axe. For thus equipped, he cut a tree with one great powerful smack, and with no loss of energy, another coming back. And sometimes, after work, the men would sit around the stumps and watch him cross a river, which he did in 3 short jumps. The world's greatest lumberjack would sometimes play a prank and jump across and then jump back and not touch either bank. And fast? The man was speed itself. Why, he could just about blow out the lamp and jump in bed before the light went out. To go as fast as he could go would have been most unkind, for if he had, he would have left his shadow far behind.
Well, the little boy who grew up to be so famous traveled all over the world. When you think of the wood and the man who chopped trees, there will always come to mind the name of Paul Bunyan and his blue ox Babe. And if you travel into the wood, and if you listen very carefully, you might be able to hear the voice of Paul calling,
"Babe, over here! This forest needs cutting!"
And if you listen very carefully, you might be able to hear Babe hauling the fallen trees.
There will always be trees to cut, and I will always be ready to use my axe.
And today, people still know and remember the legends of Paul Bunyan, the greatest lumberjack of all.